This conference will now be recorded.
All right, the time being 4:45 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting of May 2nd, 2024 to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to get right into this meeting with a public information meeting with the New Hampshire Veterans Home, and we'll call on Brian for the presentation. Thanks, Brian.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Brian Pratt. I'm a civil engineer with Boston O'Neill in Manchester. I have representatives with me today from the Veterans Home, Kim McKay and Brian Baker, and one of the architects is supposed to be here. Hopefully he gets here soon. We're here to present to you a project at the New Hampshire Veterans Home at 139 Winter Street, and we are technically exempt from the site plan permitting process and the town's ordinance, but we wanted to come present to you the project just to keep this board and the town just up to date on what the plan was. So first I'll have Kim from the Veterans Home come up and just talk a little bit about who the Veterans Home is and what they do.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know. My name is Kim McKay. I'm the Commandant of the Veterans Home. I took over for Peggy Lebrecht about 2.5 years ago. So I know that she worked with you multiple times in different projects. As you know, the Veterans Home was established in 1890, December 3rd, 1890. So we've been there for about 134 years with 11 different commandants at the helm. And right now, today, we are licensed for 250 beds. We are budgeted by the state for 225 beds. As I had mentioned to one of the selectmen before the meeting started, we only currently have about 123 residents because of staffing. As everybody is experiencing, the staffing crunch of nurses has affected how many people we can admit. With the COVID issue that came up, we know now best practices are single rooms, single bathrooms to prevent the spread of illness. So this project was proposed to the state years ago, and now the federal government has issued the funds, and so we've looked at how we can best meet the needs of our veterans. We will not be expanding our bed count. We're not going to go over the 250 licensing. We're just going to be using our rooms differently. For those who have visited us, we have 2 people in a room, 2 people in a room, and 1 bathroom. So there's 4 residents sharing a bathroom. And they really don't want to do that. They did that when they were in basic training. They don't want to do it anymore. So that's really why the project's happening, to be in best practice, to give a quality of life to the veterans, to provide them with private rooms, private bathrooms, and more independent living spaces with a living room and a dinette, so kitchenette. So I will let Brian take off and show you what we're talking about. But if you have any questions, please just let me know. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Kim. So I handed out a packet here. The first few slides were what Kim provided. And then this next slide shows you just the overview of the property. This is the existing condition. So it's a 28-acre parcel at the corner of Winter Street and Colby Road. And the area, so the plan is to provide a building addition of 14,000 square feet in the northwest corner. So this box shows you, kind of a locus of where we're at. If you flip to the next page, you can see the existing conditions are blown up here. So this is the existing building. It's kind of a number of wings. This is the town hall area where a lot of the events happen. There's some housing and some kitchen space in these areas here. And then this is an existing parking lot that we're kind of the focus of where we're proposing the improvements. If you flip to the next page, the orange building, and that's up on the board here, that's the new building addition. Like I said, it's about 14,000 square feet, and I believe it's 21 single rooms. 22. That are going to be constructed in here with some other spaces. And I can have the architect, if he shows up, talk a little bit more about the inside of the building a little bit later. But basically, what we're doing is we're kind of replacing the existing parking lot with the building. It's substantially the same size and shape as the existing parking lot that exists there. There is some oxygen delivery area that we have, so we're reconfiguring the parking area and the driveway so that they can still get the oxygen there. Some dumpsters exist in this area, and we're going to relocate those dumpsters elsewhere on site. So stormwater, we're proposing a stormwater infiltration basin, which will capture the stormwater, it'll treat it, and it'll prevent any increase in additional stormwater flowing off the site. And then the project will be served by town sewer, town water, and gas from Liberty Utilities. We have some sidewalks on site, and the paved areas are shown in kind of gray. So we have a few parking spaces for ADA accessibility, and we have just a few additional parking spaces along with, like I said, that oxygen delivery area. While we were working on designing, we noticed that Colby Road had some substandard site distance. So up top left above our building addition, that's the intersection of Colby Road and Winter Street. So we noticed that people traveling either direction on Colby Road really didn't have very good sight distance. So and we observed the speed, vehicles were traveling quite fast there. So we thought this was a potential safety concern, and we tried to mitigate, as part of this project, some ideas on how to make sure that this was safer than exists today, and with our driveway entrance right there. So we're proposing to turn this into a three-way stop. So basically there's an existing stop sign at the end of Winter, but the proposal would be to add a stop sign, stop bar with some advanced warning signs on Colby Road. Like I said, because the sight distance is so bad, the advanced warning stop sign, and then they'd see the stop sign, it would really create a much safer situation. We did catch up with the DOT. This is technically a DOT road. Hi, sir.
Hi there, my name's Joe. Have you done any traffic studies that you're proposed?
We haven't done any official traffic studies because the bed count's not increasing, so there's actually no generation of additional traffic. There's 10 more employees, give or take, I think, that will be incorporated, but that's such a real minimal increase in traffic generation. It was more just a safety review that we were working on when we were doing the design.
Did you get any input from people who live in that area?
That's why we're here.
Okay.
Yep. We know we did talk to the Veterans Home and their staff, and they had some concerns in that area. They've had some near misses there. We did reach out to the police station, and they only have one accident on record, but we know just from testimony from staff that there's definitely been some near misses there, and people are a little bit afraid to pull out of that area. So we think this is a good improvement. We did catch up to the DOT and asked them their opinions. They did a safety review as well, and they do concur that stop signs would be warranted here, but they wanted to get the feedback from the town, and they would, since it's we can't make that request for the stop signs. The town, this board, would have to officially make that request. And then I have North Sturdivant here. He's the architect. I can have him come up and talk about the architecture if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. I'm sorry I was a little late. I'm North Sturdivant. I'm with JSA Architects out of Portsmouth. We're working as part of the state contract with the New Hampshire Veterans Home for this project. What you have, and Brian has probably mentioned to you before, is a one-story addition. It's designed to spread things out a little bit to enhance the service to veterans that are living in the facility. What you see here is actually an early rendition of a design that suggests there's masonry on this building. We felt for a number of reasons, one of them was cost, granted, but also the fact that the building that's there now, and Kim was hitting us over the head with there's too much brick up here. And we're up in an area that's in a residential setting. So we've pared down the materials and are using more natural clapboard and board and batten siding as a material on the exterior. You'll see that the roofs are pitched and they have projections towards the street, and that's designed to really scale it down and make it feel a little bit more in keeping with the houses that are up at the top of the hill there. The elevation, which is I'm having trouble seeing, and we produced it, so I can't imagine what you guys how you guys can work with this. But you'll see with the materials in front of you, this is a more accurate depiction of the materials we've selected. Again, it's a clapboard and board and batten type style, much more residential type materials. They all comply with code for an institutional use, which means they're non-combustible. If you flip to the floor plan, you'll see really the primary reason that we're doing this work is standards have changed quite a bit in the industry in terms of care of individuals who are require nursing assistance. And essentially the biggest change that's happened in the industry is that bedrooms are now individual bedrooms as opposed to shared. There are also some rooms that are designed specifically for what are called the bariatric patients. These are people who have significant weight issues and mobility issues, and this allows them to be moved around safely by staff so that they can bathe and eat, and the idea is to improve the quality of life that they have. So the unit's smaller. It allows for a little bit better, more of a neighborhood feel and less of an institutional feel, and a much better percentage of staff to individuals that are living in the wing. Do we have a site plan here, or we're not quite there yet? Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So up. All right. I caused that. I didn't do it, but I caused it.
I said there was 22 beds. It's actually 20. We took 2 rooms. One's an exam room and one is a living room. So there's actually 22 beds.
20 beds. Yeah. So what this sheet is CS 101. For those of you that are familiar with the Veterans Home, there's a, I guess I'm on TV, but can I go over here and still
Yes.
point? It's just easier for me to come. There's a pretty active recreational hall. There's a lot of public activities that happen here when the big shots come up from Concord or from Washington.
No, we'll get the portable.
Oh, okay. There it is. Technology. I'm not at this.
Yeah, we're learning.
Thank you. That's okay. So those of you that have visited here, when the congressional people come up and make make their visits to the Veterans Home, this is sort of a ceremonial place, and it kind of exists now as sort of a wing standing on its own. What happens when we place this building here is it provides an opportunity for an inner courtyard, which is really pretty special for the residents to be able to get outside, but to be out safely, a little bit out of the wind, and easier to monitor and assist if necessary. So that's an enhancement that happened. I won't say by accident, but it was fortuitous. The Welsh building, which is existing now, creates this kind of a U-shaped space here. These will be connected. And what that'll allow for is, again, you have that courtyard, but also greater ability to circulate around the building to some of the more communal places like the rec hall, the library, and so forth in the building. Brian probably talked to you about the food delivery and what we're doing over here. So, because he figured it out, I'm not going to take any credit for that. Thank you.
Thanks.
So yeah, so again, thanks for having us. That was a very brief presentation with a high-level overview. Two reasons for us visiting. One is, as a courtesy to show you, the plan, what's happening, get your feedback, see if you had any comments, thoughts, questions. Any of the town staff or abutters that are here, we'd love to hear from them as well. And also the stop signs, we'd like to get your feedback on that and request your support and a letter to the DOT. We really think the stop signs would be a significant improvement to the neighborhood and this project. I think that's all I have. Happy to take questions.
All right, thank you. Board, do you have questions for Brian? Anyone? Go ahead, John.
Brian, one of the things that concerns us most with Winter Street is we have an ongoing problem with drainage, frost heaves, and all that.
Okay.
It looks like the addition actually brings you a little closer to that road. And the way the roof is pitched, the water from that roof is going to just get right into that. And there's no real ditch line up there. It will be flowing down Winter Street where all of our problems are. Would it be possible to maybe divert that in some way underneath the entrance on Colby Road into the stormwater pond and, take some of the load off of Winter Street?
So we actually are reducing the amount of stormwater going to Winter Street because we are capturing, there's a peak roof. So half of it is heading towards Winter. The other half is heading internal to the site. So we are capturing some of the roof runoff that comes on the easterly side, and we are diverting some of that, and all of that proposed parking and loading area is going to that stormwater. It's just really tough for the westerly side of the building to try to get it and run it around. But there is an existing pipe that outlets there right now, and that existing parking lot does sheet flow over. So the drainage patterns are going to remain substantially similar with a slight decrease.
And that's one of the things that presently it is a problem.
Yeah.
So I think this might be a good opportunity. And like I was saying, you're actually moving it closer to the road. So you got this, and I know it's not per scale and everything. When I look at this drawing, I can see, the pitch is going down to Winter Street.
Yeah.
And very little amount of room. And the snow's going to be piled up from the snowplow from the roads as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. It's at all possible to take any of this.
Yeah.
That was sheeted over and kind of sloped down that way. Now it's going to be that way. To, bring it over underneath this driveway here and do that just to, look at it.
Yeah. North, we don't have gutters on the west side, right? That's all just the drip edge.
The level of design at this point is pretty conceptual. That's something we can certainly look at.
Look into.
Look at our roof drainage design. There's a way to capture at least some of that.
Some of it, yeah.
And getting it. The continental divide there, as Brian said, we're probably taking about half of the water away that's getting there now.
Yeah, one thing that I just thought of, we do have a drip edge on that edge so that the roof runoff, when it comes down, it'll hit. We could make a bigger drip edge, which will act as kind of an infiltration trench.
What it is the groundwater there is getting under the road and heaving it.
Gotcha.
Everything that goes in there.
Yeah, we'll definitely work with
To
North
think about
and see what we can
help
do.
us resolve some of our issues that are already happening up there.
Scott.
So, good evening. Thank you for this, Scott Ruggles, Selectmen. I travel Colby/Clark Road a fair amount. So this question may be actually aimed toward the state. I think I know there's support for the stop signs there. As a resident who uses the road frequently, the stop signs wouldn't bother me. My only concern is that the signs of stop ahead are not far enough down to warn the folks.
Okay.
So, and maybe that becomes the permanent one, and I'm not sure if they could put a temporary one in further
Yeah.
down as we start this out so that people
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
But that's the significant piece for me because, you know, I'll be candid, that's not a slow road, even though it's supposed to be 35.
Yeah.
The other piece I think that the state needs to do is that they need to put a couple more speed limit signs on it. There's one at the eastern end and one at the western end. There are no speed limit signs in between.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Actually,
Yeah,
right now.
and I just checked that the other day, just
Yeah.
for
Okay.
in preparation for this meeting.
Very
Yeah,
good point.
I know we've done before is we've done some orange ones
Yeah.
that like indicate, you know, warning traffic patterns change. So I like your idea to do, you know, keep the permanent one there, but also add some
Yeah, I
new
think,
stop sign.
yeah, I just
ahead.
think that, I
Yeah.
think that conditioning, you know, especially over whether it's the first 6 months or whatever it is,
Yeah.
would be very appropriate for
Yeah.
the folks who are traveling that road or
Yeah.
travel it
I
frequently.
can imagine people just used to it and then just seeing it out of the corner of their eyes and just slamming on the brakes and
Yeah,
skidding. Yeah.
I can't be dishonest and say that I haven't exceeded the speed limit on that
Yeah.
road. So
Yeah, we drove it and, you know, you come up
Chief
over that hill.
Chief Gilman's noting that right now over there.
But yeah, you come up over that hill and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and then there's another, I forget what the name of the next road over, but they're real close kind of
Caleb
offset.
Hill.
Yeah.
Caleb Hill, yeah.
So like, I think that would just make that whole intersection system function a lot better and safer.
Good, thank you.
Is there anyone online that would like to ask Brian a question about this project? Hearing none, I'll go to the audience here. Anyone? Hearing none. I think that concludes it. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate
So,
it.
will I just coordinate with Paul directly on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
very-
much. We really appreciate your
I
time.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great
Appreciate it.
project. It's
Great project.
Yeah,
Yep.
great project.
Jim, you gonna wait for Anna? Are you waiting for Anna to come? Okay. Well, we'll take you a bit earlier then. All right, come on up. Next on our list is Jim Bouchard from the Turner Group, talking about the Tilton Island.
Thank you. That light moves on, okay.
We have that in our brochures, everyone, in our folders, I mean.
Yes, when we last met, February 15th, I think it was, we had put together a proposal to assist the town with a pedestrian bridge, basically a design and replacement. And during the discussions we had that evening, it became clear to us that that was probably a little bit premature, that the board and the town may be looking for some input and some help in deciding what the option may be to be actually facilitated out there. So we reached back out to Paul Branscombe and just said, hey, you know, how about this for an idea, and threw out some ideas, and you provided some response back to him. So we have given you a new proposal to come up with some three alternatives, conceptual alternatives, and some opinions of costs. And these would be total cost, project costs, that include construction costs, design, permitting, for three options that we understood from the discussion that evening, and what to go forward with. And one of them was option number one that we've given you is a complete removal and replacement of the existing pedestrian bridge to the island. And option number two is a new bridge, but it on a different alignment, maintaining the existing bridge in place. So it meets the historical requirements or the historical desires of the existing bridge, not to have it permanently scrapped or removed from the location. And option three was, as requested through the board, was the evaluation of can it be rehabilitated and in place, and what would that cost be? So those are the three options we came up with. And we put some fees together for that. We would look at the existing plans that are available through Hunter Research's, I guess, their report to you folks. Plus, we'd have to do some additional research out there. We do know that there's a problem with the abutment on the US Route 3. It is rotating in. It is a masonry abutment, and probably that sounds a little better for everybody. So yes, we would look at that for, how to replace that on all the options. Even if you kept the existing bridge in place and built a new one under option 2 beside it, you still want to rehab that abutment so it doesn't eventually fall in and cause a further issue with the river and the structure. So those are the thoughts we would have. We put this together. Now, since that meeting of February 15th, we have been in discussions with Paul that the town apparently is in the receipt of a grant through a U.S. Parks Service for the rehab, specifically awarded for the rehab of the existing bridge. And a question was asked of us, is there some wiggle room? And at this point, we couldn't answer that. We don't know. But one of the other options we put into the proposal was to work with the town on the grant assistance. Can it be modified? That being said, by the town having the 3 options that we just previously discussed and some costs where they could actually speak to the Park Service and say, in the economic interest of the town, we have some strong desires maybe to do a different option than complete rehab. And that would help assist in that. So Paul has also asked us to provide some costing to assist with that as you go forward. Through the grant administration, once more of the details of the administration of that become clear, sometimes federal grants have a requirement where you will have to reach out and do a request for qualifications for selection of a consultant to work with you. We don't know that yet, but at least we would assist you trying to get to the point of having discussions with the Park Service so you knew where you were going. Another component of this proposal that we have before you is Paul has been speaking with us, and we have also been a participant in a meeting with DOT relative to the relocation of the aerial utilities along Route 3 to the other side of the roadway. As you're aware, DOT is looking at and trying to program in the rehabilitation, reconstruction of the existing seawall along the Winnipesaukee River, but the town has, from our understanding, a stronger desire to get the utilities moved as quickly as possible over there. Which may require, and it appears to require, a permit or easement, I actually should say, from Tilton School to get them located over onto Tilton School property. So that would eliminate and take those totally out of the way along the retaining wall, which would be a benefit to the DOT, is also a benefit to the town if they decide to move forward with an option for construction of a new bridge or replacement of a new bridge. Replacement of the bridge certainly facilitates not having those electrical power lines in the way, and especially at the abutment location where that would have to be constructed. So we've added some costs in there. Now, we don't know the scope of these costs associated with, the scope of our work. It's sort of, it's a fluid thing. We don't know. We've just done the best to give you an hourly projection of what it may be. And the idea is to invoice accordingly to the actual hours that were requested to expend for either the grant administration to get it into the town and get a suitable selection of how the funds could be applied, and similar to working with the town, Tilton School, Eversource, and DOT on relocation of the aerial utilities. So we took our proposal and we kind of broke it into 3 different components that dealt with that, and we gave you a lump, and then gave you the overall sum. So in summary, that's where as we understand what you may be requesting of us for some from assistance on this project. And I certainly would take any discussions, questions that you may have.
Anybody? Give him a minute to look it over a little bit, Jim.
Not a problem, Chairman. Woman.
I have no idea where it is in this folder.
In your, under
It's
the
right behind,
agenda.
Right behind the agenda.
Behind the agenda?
section.
Under that.
Okay. hold on. I found it. I've been out and I haven't purged my.
All right, that's where I put it too, right behind the agenda.
Just me, but I'm not seeing the plans.
There's no plans.
We didn't include any plans.
Read.
Okay,
We're gonna find all the available plans for it,
I see.
what may be as a basis so we can develop under the concepts, develop like a schematic plan of what it would look like, either a new bridge in place or a bridge on a different alignment. And we need to do that just to be able to put together some costs for that, other than just, doing one of this as we drive by.
This is just their services.
We've tried to keep the cost down. We're not doing any surveys. We're not doing any borings. It's just basically come up with some concepts. The existing rehabilitation, we would take and use the Hunter report and bring that forward to current dollars. I think that the dollars that they had were circa 2022, I think, and maybe 2021, and did not include some relocation and bringing it back.
So we don't know if there's any wiggle room on the, from the federal government under the grant as far as new pedestrian bridge and complete removal and replacement, correct?
Correct, Selectman Jessman. From our point of view, we don't know. I don't think the town's been given any particulars on this. We're just taking it the way it was awarded through Washington, the exact wording. At this point, I don't even know if Mr. Branscombe has had discussions with anybody from Park Service.
Well,
But included in the price here is for the Turner Group to assist us in getting all of that information with us under the New Hampshire DOT project. It's grant criteria review, USDA Park Service grant assistance.
that was the one we'd been waiting on for quite some time, didn't know we were gonna get it or no.
Right.
So I'm guessing that they're pretty well on that replacement, restoration thing. We had option for a grant from, who was that grant from? The original grant we got, they preserve bridges.
Land and water, was it?
Right, land and water.
grant?
They, and that one was for $500,000 to reconstruct, restore the bridge that is there because it is the bridge that it is. So if we get $1 million toward restoring that bridge, we have to foot the bill for all of this other stuff over here, even if it costs more than $1 million. Seems like restoring the bridge, might be $2 million. So I don't know that yet, but I just don't want this to land on the taxpayers.
Agree with that one.
Should it? Maybe. But I want to avoid that if there's money out there for this specific purpose.
Well, and understandable, and that's what we don't know, and we had conversations with Town Administrator Branscombe about it, and just, is there, if it seems to be in the overall that the project that the town would entertain the best is a different alternative, then can the money be applied, even though you're still, if you're still maintaining the existing bridge, or you're going to preserve it on site or in the facility, we're still meeting maybe the criteria. We have no idea at this point. No, we haven't had a conversation with Park Service, and those conversations would be at the request of you folks.
Go ahead, Scott.
So just as I look at it, I mean, it would be wonderful to get Washington DC to alter anything once it's written, because it's usually set in stone. So rehabilitation and restoration, I'm going to guess, is probably the way that they're going to go. The one thing that does, as I look at this, and this is not a knock on you because you did your analysis, is that the relocation of the aerial utilities, while it's going to be, it would help us no matter what goes in there.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that cost has got to go on the state. The state needs it moved. They're going to need them moved.
Yeah,
right.
That is not a cost that we should be assuming, in my opinion.
Right.
So, and when
I
we
kind
get,
of go with that.
yeah, and when we get down to brass tacks, for me, I would love to see the Turner Group take a look and see if restoration in place is a possibility first. Because if not, we're going to then have to play the cards that were dealt after that in terms of what we've got to do going forward. So that's just in terms of looking at this the other day when I got it, et cetera. I just think if we look at that and that's not an option, then, as you know, Pandora's box could open or close.
If I may, in response to Selectman Ruggles, the aerial utilities are there, what we call by sufferance. They're in the right of way by sufferance.
Okay.
It is up to them because of, need to relocate at their expense. You don't pay for that.
Okay.
But what comes in is the negotiations and try to, come up with an alignment that would work for the town, and we've done this before on other big projects where we might come up with a proposed alignment, give it to them and say, look, we figured it out. Now you guys got to make it work. And Tilton School has endorsed it. And so, you need to get over, because it also would facilitate not having those heavy duty transmission lines right there at the abutment, to come in with a crane or anything to move that.
Yeah.
They have to have 20 feet of separation under OSHA laws, and you can't do it. It would have to be relocated just for the bridge. And again, that's not at your cost. That's at Eversource's or cost, or whoever the pole owner is at that point.
Understood. Moving them to the other side of the street is better anyways, because if one of them happens to go down and goes in the water, that's a whole different.
Right. Exactly.
So
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions for Jim?
Mine is based on the contract agreement, not on the project. I think that's pretty well spelled out.
Yeah.
So in your contract under documents, all reports, everything that's generated remains the property of TGG?
It technically it would, but we always give you the copies and give you the originals.
But it says
So,
in here that we
I know.
can't use them for anything.
So,
So any-
Selectman Dossman, it's the same as, I don't know who you use for an insurer, but I mean, this is sometimes towns will submit that to Primex. That is usually crossed out, and we certainly can do that also.
Yeah, For 20 some odd years, I've been asking that section to be crossed out.
I
And
know.
you probably know that.
I do know that. I do know that. And I do know that because of the changing, insurance requirements and stuff, we're in the process of rehabbing that. The standard conditions completely reformatted. But yes, that can be easily just Xed out and initialed.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Jim? Anybody online? Although you don't know
Yeah,
what we're looking at, but go ahead. Go ahead,
yeah,
Chuck.
yeah. I guess the same as back in February and the same as back many, many months ago. Is there any general consensus amongst the select board as to which direction they wish to go in? And I realize that without some cost numbers, but now we're still talking about the same basic concepts as we talked about, or you talked about back in February, and that have been discussed in the past. So I don't see, here it is now, 1st of May or 2nd of May, and we really haven't moved forward, it seems to me, with any one specific direction.
My primary goal is to restore if we can. It depends on the cost. That is my primary goal. So, anybody else want to chime in? Go
I
ahead.
don't think any of us have changed
We-
our positions.
Right, I think that
I mean,
it depends
we
on
may
the
be the
cost.
only one left, but I'm not married to it. I think it's
If it needs
cost.
to be replaced,
yeah.
so
It's
be it.
cost.
It's about the money.
It's
Right,
about the money.
Right, it is definitely about the money. And I think that's where we stand, Chuck. Go ahead.
No, it's my understanding, although I heard Joe talk about the original of land and water grant of 500,000, I understand that that one is no longer available. So it does seem like the only money that's currently available is from the Park Service. And if this project were to stretch over 2 million or 2 million plus, and you only get a $500,000, that means the town would then be liable for about 1.5. Anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck. All right, appreciate it. You coming in, Jim? We'll get back to you. We'll
Thank
be
you, Jim.
talking about it.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Thank
We
you.
appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Just one thing, I think this is certainly beyond our scope of being able to handle this,
Oh, yeah.
as well as trying to put it on to Paul to handle this thing, and we're grateful for
Absolutely.
everything you've done so far for
If we can
working
be,
with us to figure out how we're going to move forward.
not a problem. If we can provide assistance, just to keep us in
Steps
the loop.
forward are the
Great.
key thing, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. You have a daunting task in front of you. It's a lot of money.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yes. And
And
we
we
understand.
really want that island to be open though.
Yeah, and that's the precursor to everything you do. You was to get it open. How do we get it open? How do we restore it? So
Yeah,
we understand
exactly.
totally. It's just a matter of how can we work with you to help you out.
Just one more thing, sort of on the same thing. If anybody drives past and along there and takes a good look at the road and from the drainage, this pavement has begun to sink in on the edges now and is washing away and going out into the travel lane. So, yeah, we had a lot of damage over this last few months of excessive water.
Yep.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Jim.
You too. Not my fault, but
Okay, our next two appointments are now here because we're running a little bit early. Why don't we talk about the health office? Oh, let me make an announcement though first. It appears that our dilemma has come true, and that is that in this week's signing, we have about an unprecedented amount of elderly exemptions that have been denied for one reason or another, and some are just a margin over their amount. So we want to put that out there that if you're one of the people that have been denied, please come to the selectmen's office and fill out an abatement, please.
Isn't that what this is?
No.
This is like,
It's somebody else. It's a different thing.
okay.
They won't know to do that unless they've been denied first. And that we missed the mark on putting it in the town warrant as upping the monies on the town elderly exemptions. And some of them missing it by under $200. Okay, let's talk about health officer position. You asked to put it on the agenda.
Well, so
It's on.
I guess the first thing is decide, I've mentioned it before, is combining it with the zoning code enforcement position. And then advertising for somebody to take that position.
So for the public, the health officer resigned back in December, but kept on for the sake of not having it been filled for the town. And now we want to try to talk about combining the zoning code enforcement, taking it out of land use and putting it into health officer. Okay, board.
Zoning
Code enforcement
and code enforcement would now go under health officer?
would be
Combined.
combined with health, more so health officer and code enforcement would be
What
out of
department?
one thing.
Out of what department? Planning?
Would it be under land use?
That's where zoning is now.
So zoning code enforcement is really the selectmen's purview because we have the money, we can pay for the attorney. So I'm not sure what the question is. Who do they report to? They should
Yes.
be
Yeah,
reporting
kind of.
directly to the Board of Selectmen. The code
So it'd be a
enforcement, so
separate.
the building code enforcement and the zoning code enforcement, it's really hard for them to work under somebody because they have to set their own schedule, so to speak. For zoning code, it depends on what comes in, what's happening out there. And building code's the same thing. What new building has gone up, they go out and inspect. At that point, they decide whether they need to come back or not. And that's something they do on their own. It's not done under somebody else's guise.
Well,
So
they work very closely. The
they
building
work-
inspector
yes,
works
they
very
work in
close.
coordination with.
Right. And as we have it now, the building inspector reports to the land use coordinator. That's the way it's
Right.
right
And
now.
I'd rather have the building inspector report directly to the Board of Selectmen. I always like to get my information firsthand, not secondhand. And as I said, it's, they work pretty independent, both of them. If you notice, I sent my suggested changes to the land use coordinator job position description. And in there, I suggested we put works in coordination with, because there has to be a coordinating with. It has to. Because the information comes from that office. What new building is going up, what somebody's putting on an addition or a garage. And the zoning code enforcement needs to know that. They need to check setbacks, the height of lights, et cetera, et cetera. But answering to that person as their boss, so to speak, doesn't make sense to me.
I like the idea of direct supervision of everybody so that somebody knows what the secretary is doing, or as long as they're working for specifically the town of Tilton, even if it's the town administrator, somebody should know what's going on.
Well, and that office would know what they're doing because the land use tech does a lot of the scheduling for
Correct.
them.
For the building inspector.
Building, yes.
Correct.
And they would for zoning code enforcement, because again, that information comes in as building permits. Therefore, that would generate a slip, or however you do it, to zoning code enforcement. So as I said, there's a great coordination that takes place in that office. But to report to, or who's their boss, I think that's the Board of Selectmen.
Mm. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, I mean, I shouldn't say wholeheartedly. I agree with combining it with health officer. I have absolutely no problem with that. I think that with the code enforcement, zoning code enforcement officer, they would work closely with the team that's in there now. I just think that the reporting should all be together.
And it would be, it doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be the boss. Who do they report to? They work with.
Why does it make a difference?
Because I think for an employee, it does make a difference. You know, how many bosses do they have? The Board of Selectmen is the boss of all the town employees. So there's boss number one, and then they have what, boss number two. I think coordinating with and working with is a trust issue with employees, and it's I think a far better
But then do you have
atmosphere.
the cohesiveness of what the code puts in with the selectmen's, what that report goes in with the selectmen's office, and then what the building inspector puts in for their report. Would you still have that cohesiveness together, or would you have to ask for that cohesiveness to be
Well,
working together?
They're two separate entities.
Correct.
So
So how do you, if they're off,
separate reports.
so if they're off doing inspections all morning long because it's set, work, the building inspector comes in at 7:30-ish or so and takes off because he's got a whole schedule and doesn't come back until he's finished his day. So the code enforcement probably would have a whole list of inspections to be done the same way. Go out, do the inspections, come back. So neither one of them are talking to each other
Oh, on the
or
contrary,
each
I
other.
think they would be.
So
So as health officer, the housing standard inspections that we've done, I mean, I communicate with Sean at the fire department, and I communicate with Tucker, state building code inspector, and adding again, there's a lot of cooperation that we work together. We don't have to make somebody the boss to make that happen. It happens. It's necessary, and we have a very good group of people that do work together. And the health officer answers directly to the Board of Selectmen because they are the Board of Health. So it wouldn't be an inconvenience for that position if there was zoning code enforcement to also respond to the Board of Selectmen and a report. And
I think they work as a team anyway, so it doesn't really.
well, they do.
It doesn't
Everybody
really matter.
does. And it's marvelous. I just would hate to, I don't know, impede that, I guess. I don't know. Just my opinion.
Been here 12 years, over 12 years. It's always come out of that office. Not so much the health part of it, certainly, but I'm a no. I don't think we need to reinvent it. That's just me.
John, Scott?
I'd like to weigh in on it. Important that people have a person that they can go to at all times. It's their supervisor or their boss or something. And a level of hierarchy. You're asking employees to report to 5 people, none of which can make a decision unless they make a decision at a meeting consisting of all 5 people, which could be 2 weeks away. It's important to have somebody on site and available to handle all these things. And having the selectmen as bosses and reports to for everybody, they do, but they need that level in between that's there all the time. So we don't have each and every employee or start expanding the number of employees that have to come directly to the Board of Selectmen for an issue. So I'm strongly against it.
What about, let's
Can
not,
I just interrupt? So the conversation we should be having right now is whether to combine the positions.
thank you, I was just gonna go there.
Thank you. So whoever is boss of who
Right.
is a whole different
secondary,
conversation.
correct,
Well, that
Right
was
now-
just something that was
Well, I
brought up.
didn't
Right.
bring it up.
right.
I
So
didn't either.
we were,
And I may have, because I've got.
right, it kind of got diverted into that. So the question
Is that even possible? Getting back on the subject, to find somebody who is skilled as a zoning code enforcement person and a health officer. Health officer is very specific. They have very specific codes and rules and whatever. Not that buildings don't, but this directly impacts people's welfare. Instantaneous, the heat, the water, the sewer, whatever it happens to be, rodent problems. If you've got a bad stairway over on Ashalot, that can resolve itself over a period of time and whatever. So it's a little different, I think, than health officer. And you've been health officer unsupervised because of who you are and the fact that you've always, well, not always done it. I mean, certainly, but you've done it in my memory, certainly. And we get right back to the fact that can we really find somebody who can be that person?
I think in today's market, and people I've talked to for all different kinds of positions, Dawson's Concrete, it's very hard to find people who are experienced. I have a feeling we will be training whoever we find. And you're right, the health officer part is probably a lot more training than zoning code enforcement because that's just in our zoning code. That's, it's, I don't want to say simple, but it's easier. And I will say that when I became health officer, I followed in the steps of someone I admire greatly, Joe Plesner, who was a selectman at the time and health officer, and taught me a great deal, was my mentor. And again, back then, as we do now, the health officer reports to the Board of Health. And there is a Department of Health and Human Services provides a liaison. So if they're a health officer in any part of the state has a question, they can go there for the answer. No one in town hall is going to be able to answer the questions of a health officer, I'm afraid.
we're not gonna know until we put it out there whether or not we can get somebody acceptable for the job. I mean, we're not gonna know that.
Well, we should look then.
But I'm saying combine it because with our housing standard inspections that took place and there's still some that need to be done, it really did its job. I have a few landlords that I continue to get calls about, but they're very quick to respond. They know because of the housing standard inspections. So I'm telling you, there is less to do. It becomes a little more complicated as health officer, the cases. And the zoning code enforcement would take up that time that we're paying the health officer to study.
I'll put it out there, combine the two and advertise. What?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Take a look, yeah.
yes.
I think we have to see what we
Yes.
can find.
We could do that. We want to write something up, an advertisement. Okay. All right. So that, and then we'll deal with the other one, who reports to who later. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, next on our, we'll go back because I see that Judy's here. Downtown safety crosswalk signs.
Hello, Judy. How are you?
Hi, Judy. And that's in our back of our Turner papers.
All right, you all got the picture
Uh-huh.
and the quote of what I am proposing that you put in. I did get 2 quotes. The other quote was about 4,000 more from the other company because they actually purchase it from Solar Lighting International. So we just got their markup, which we don't need. So I did meet with Chief and Shane over at DPW, because you'll see there was a 12-foot pole and a 15-foot pole. And Shane prefers the 15-foot for truck traffic to be able to navigate around them if they need to. So it's a basic push button assembly. It is ADA compliant. So when it's for all 4 crosswalks, so when somebody pushes the button, then all around the little person flashes and they know that there's somebody on the sidewalk. We discussed the ones that consistently flash, which are much cheaper. But the 2 concerns with that is, one, people stop looking at them. They don't care. After a while, they just see a flash. And also, we have residents live on the 2nd floor all downtown, and that's not fair to do to them.
Where do you propose to put them?
Each of the 4 crosswalks down Main Street. So every one of them is covered.
How long does the light stay on once it's pushed?
I did not ask that. I can find that out, but because the ones that I've always used were sufficient, so I don't know.
And that's a total of 4 signs?
8, 1 on each side.
Perfect. That was where I was going.
And each one talks to each other. You know,
You mean
from
they-
each side of the street.
Oh.
So
not
when you
not-
push it on this side
Links
flashes
on the
as
other
well.
side.
These are all solar.
Yes.
Do you ever have to change the battery even though it's solar? Does it ever?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would not be so bold as to say never, because it's a battery.
Typically, everything I've seen there, like 3-4 years and start losing their. It must know.
But we've been talking about this unofficially for what, 5-6 years. It's like, let's just do this. Or traffic is not getting any less on Main Street.
Any grants out there?
Well, funny that you mention that.
Okay.
So I got hold of the Gopher people in Concord, who do the ARPA grants. And what happens with grants is grants get put out and then people don't use them all. So money comes back in. So I wrote to them and said, you got any extra money in that fund? And he said, potentially, yes. He said, but if you have ARPA funds, you should use those first. So we should use our town ARPA funds prior to asking for the Gopher funds. But there are potentials there for it.
How much opera funds does the town of Tilton have in reserve?
We got that in a report here,
Yeah, well, I missed it.
in the finance. It's new today,
Go to the paper.
under finance.
Okay,
Number 3.
yeah. Okay. Now I know.
Now you know.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at this and
Yes.
see what we can do, Judy. Thank you for looking all this information up, and
No problem.
it's,
Do you need any permits from the state or anything?
We
'Cause
don't.
Excellent.
They don't
Thank you for-
care. I have that in writing too.
Yeah.
I contacted them first and went, do I have to talk to you about this? They went, nope. Your thing. I said, well, I know Main Street's your thing. He said, we don't care about the signs.
this is a much needed,
Oh, yeah.
much
100%.
needed.
I'm good to say yes. If
I-
we've got that amount of money
I am, too.
available to us,
I would
this
rather,
is a good thing for downtown. It's a good thing for public safety. And does that include the T-Hop crosswalk?
Absolutely.
That's
so
the,
it's that, it's nickels and dimes, it's this one here, correct? And then this
And
one
this one
here.
here, all four of them.
no, $27,000 is not nickels and dimes, but we
No, no, the
have
name of
that
the
The
money.
name of the
No,
name of the
the name of the
store
store.
at where the crosswalk
Name of the
is.
store.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, but let's back up
So-
because the
I'm well aware it's
27,000,
not nickels and dimes.
We're looking at the 33,
yeah, the
240.
27,000 is the 12-foot pole. And Shane would like the 15 foot, so it's 33,240.
It's 50s and 100s, Joe.
So although we
Yeah.
have ARPA funds, do we tend to have those earmarked for other things
Some of them,
that would, if this grant is available, we say we do have ARPA funds, but we've already
Earmarked
earmarked
them for stuff.
for things. What can you give us
Right.
towards this? You know, can you, since spending all ARPA funds, can you guys chip in 90%?
Because I know with
For a
our,
nice trip.
I know, I know with
I should
our-
start high, you know?
with our grants, they always want to see you've depleted your opportunities prior to going back to the well.
And
And
we
certainly,
haven't.
No, we have not.
we have not, but some of these are earmarked. So if you want to say yes, I would.
Earmarks are clearly put down, and then the sentence above that says that they have a balance of 371, leaving a balance of roughly 174 available after these things down here.
Right.
Right.
So we have $174,000 in ARPA funds that are not committed.
I agree, but what's not included in that is a fence that we've looking for a price for up on the Civil War Memorial that we've got a price for now.
And I love the fence. I certainly do. And I saw
Not more important than these.
the
To be
fence
candid.
thing,
we've
which
got enough money to do both.
doesn't deplete this fund. And this is public safety.
Correct.
Totally agree with you.
and
I'm with
ARPA
you,
funds
just
should be
being
used for
cautious.
the
Public safety,
community.
yes.
And that this is a
Correct.
The
perfect,
fences, I really want to replace that fence. It's an eyesore and there's a number of reasons, but
I'm agreeing with you, but if you just want to do this right now, you go right
Yes.
ahead. It's just
I'll make a
trying to be
motion that
cautious, that's all.
we tap into our opera funds for the total of $33,240 to, that is the correct one, right?
yes.
To install the crosswalk lights that we've been talking about for 15 years.
At least.
Second.
Okay,
A
we have a
motion is-
motion and a second, but the chief has something he wants.
Chief, would you like to join in the discussion?
I would love to.
Come on over.
Well, get up at the pedestal there or join. Okay, go ahead. Here you go.
I'll go, yeah. This is a nice podium here. Maybe we can talk about, I know I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road, but lighting downtown is a huge issue, and that's kind of goes hand in hand with crosswalk. I know we're talking about two different things, but we did talk about lighting also. So maybe if there's money there and we can look down the road, or maybe with you reached out to with ARPA funds. I just know that we did take those trees down a while ago, and that was the plan for the lighting. I do love the lighting across from Tettle, and it is bright, and that was always a thing. In the winter time, when we have the trees even wrapped with the Christmas lights, that was just enough lighting there to actually help see people Because the problem is, and we've said before, is downtown is really narrow. It's not like Franklin where it's really wide. By the time you get out to where somebody can see you or pass the vehicles, you're already 3-4 feet into the travel portion of the road. So when we did talk, and I think that'll be great. The only thing we'll have to find out, and we just want to keep that in our brains, is making sure those poles are high enough and the way that they sit back. If the vehicles, when you go through the downtown, you'll be able to see those lights, because people that are going to push those buttons are going to expect cars to just stop. And they're going to look at those lights and they're going to start to walk across, and you have vehicles parked all the way down this way, and you can't, and I can't, as we're driving down the main street, you cannot see those lights. So we just need to I think that's probably the second phase. Once we get the money, we can then figure out some of those spots, especially in front of nickels and dimes, compact, maybe even take that spot. We talked about it, take that spot, or do something with that spot right before the crosswalk in that area. And also we walked down and checked out the area at Tilton House, pizza and in those areas. So those are just my 2 cents. So,
Thank you,
But
Chief.
you said nickels and dimes.
yeah,
Oh,
nickels and
That's
dimes.
2 cents.
boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yuck,
Hold on,
yuck.
hold on.
I'm a million.
Hold on,
miles.
chief. Hold on, chief.
What do you got?
So, man,
Yep.
Yeah.
so Abe, do you have any concern? I mean, we obviously need these. Do you have any concern about these and the potential backup or issues we could have with the Park Street, the Park Street connection? That's my only worry, is that that's such a funky and congested area that, on a Friday night when we know these are going to be used a significant amount, I worry about what's going to happen there.
Yeah, it's going to be a delay. I mean, when you're downtown and you're in the intersection at Park Street, Park and Main, everybody knows when that button's pushed, it's 20 seconds. And the person's already walked away and they're probably already halfway down the road, and everybody has to wait, and it does cause that jam up. So we'll have to find out, and Judy could probably find that out, what the delay or what the time is on those and what it takes. And then have to figure that out. If this person pushes one in front of Casamigos, and all the way down, what does that cause?
Yeah.
A chain reaction. So I would agree.
And there's a rule, law, code or whatever that you have to stop until the light stops flashing, regardless of whether there's somebody you don't have to do that at a red light.
No, but on an intersection, you do. I mean, until that is done and it says go and the person has crossed, you have to, everything. Well, usually what happens is all the traffic lights go red. So traffic lights are red, doesn't matter, green, everybody's red. And that goes through the 20 cycle. If you then proceed to go.
Well, if the flashing lights were coordinated with the stop red lights, that would be fine. I'm just thinking you're going to come up and push the button and all of a sudden traffic comes to a standstill
Well, that's
for
it.
20 seconds.
That's it.
And it's not even the red light.
Yeah. And that's
That's what we want it to do. That's what we want these lights to do, is for traffic to stop.
Well,
For
if,
pedestrians in
Well,
the
yes,
crosswalk.
but not if they're not in the crosswalk, which is
But-
my concern. Let's just say
So
I
you're
press
talking
the
about the
button.
irresponsible person that just goes, oh, hey, and pushes it
yes,
and then walks off.
or the person that is a little bit behind, you push the button. I've already walked across. The countdown is still going. It's at 7 more seconds, and I have enough time because technically
Well,
the
that's why I
crosswalk's
asked
telling
how
me to
long.
go, and I run across. I'm good, but you decided to go before.
Because I'm a driver, and there's lots of drivers out there
Yeah, we
who
just
would
have to.
do just that.
Yeah, and we have to do those two. The state wants you to stay stopped until it's gone through its full cycle. So we can't then switch, because then we'll be going back and forth. And
could we
possibly
purchase
lawsuits.
them and only put 2 out, one at T-Hop and one at the troubled area, which is in front of Nickels and Dimes?
We're trying to make crosswalks safer for our pedestrians.
That's true. No, I agree. I agree.
So what is the alternative? To have 2 crosswalks where pedestrians walk in the dark? Or are we suggesting eliminating some crosswalks in town?
No,
I mean, the fact is,
I was
I'm
thinking one more set
suggesting,
of signs for.
I'm
I think-
suggesting people get used to them. Instead of putting all 4 out at one time, people get used to the 2 and then put an additional 2.
I think safety is safety. I think that our drivers if there is a problem with those lights, people that come up Park Street and turn east are going to not. They're going to take a right by the library and
They might,
come
you're
out
right,
by Cannon Bridge and avoid it.
and deal with these ones. So if I may interject, I think the answer that we need to have is what's the timing, or is the timing variable? I mean,
I would bet they are.
because if it's variable, you're going to want this crosswalk, which is longer than the others, to have a little bit longer
Yeah.
flash.
Mhm.
And so on and so forth as you look at those, as you look at the length of those crosswalks. Or, for instance, if Chief Gilman says, let's have the one be at Tilton House be a little bit longer because it's just a busy one. So I think finding out if the timing is either a set timing or set timings or variable timing would be what's going to give us the answers to that. I'm in favor of, if we're going to get all four, let's put all four out. But, I think that if we can get that answer in terms of the timing, that'll inform us as to what we can do with it and how we can
We've
manage
got a
it.
very sophisticated Bluetooth unit that goes with this. I got to imagine that we can
Yeah.
set the lights.
Well, it says to flash for a pre-programmed amount of time, so you got to be able to program it.
Pre-programmed.
There we
You got to
go.
be able
All
to
right, so
program
that
it
takes
to
care of
however
that.
you want.
Okay. So that'll be those.
And just so everybody knows, you'll probably see the traffic a little better. I go with DOT and extended the east to west traffic light at the intersection, 10 more seconds. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in the
I have,
morning and
yeah.
then it's cleared out. It's better than it has been. Obviously, the buses have to stop at that. That's what kind of that chain reaction. So playing around with it, we did 10 seconds. We're going to put a camera in that intersection to monitor and then check it out and then kind of tweak it. So hopefully we'll get some better traffic flowing.
So that's the Park Street backup now. Got it. So
Yeah, just
no,
we're
I'm
good.
not. I'm just saying
It
that's
is, yeah, and that's what we
plan.
have to look at to see how far back it goes into Northfield, because now with the, kind of a different traffic flow pattern.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
hopefully we can get that
Gotcha.
resolved.
Look at downtown. We're cleaning it up with the poop bags, and now we're going to have lights. I mean, look at this.
And maybe streetlights.
Look
I
at.
heard a
Go ahead,
streetlight
John.
proposal.
Go ahead, John.
So, Chief brought up a good topic. We've been talking about the lights for downtown at the same time, and that lighting it up. We used to have Christmas lights and all that lit up. It's dark down there on that sidewalk. So why don't we try and incorporate this? If we have the ARPA funds of $174,000, let's see what it takes to put those lights in there at the same time and not totally commit ourselves to buying these only from the ARPA funds. So we can get this whole thing done. We say, make a motion right now that
We
we're
have a
only
motion
gonna,
We have a motion
yes,
on the table.
if we vote on the motion right now to only take them from ARPA funds,
Mhm.
then maybe we can't get the lights done, or we can't do that. But maybe if we say, in some way that we will get it done, regardless, we're gonna move forward with it. But we also need to right away have Tim take a look at what it will take to get those lights put in too. and
I'll
get
get the quotes on that, so
That
Tim
would be
isn't buried.
great to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had $174,000.
Yeah, because we've been kicking that off for at least 8-10 years on getting the lights done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got down there done. Let's finish it. Get up the rest of it.
We've
and
been
finish our
dealing, yeah,
downtown.
you're absolutely right, John, but we've been dealing with the crosswalks for about at least
So-
15 that I've been
and-
here.
Let's get the crosswalks.
So I
done.
I am totally in favor of getting those lights, but I cannot commit all of our ARPA funds until we do that. I think we could be able to use ARPA funds and possibly a grant, but at any rate, I want to get them done. So unfortunately, the motion is worded. I'm going to vote no, but I just want to let it be clear that I'm not against them. I want to get a whole
Fan.
project
You
here.
can be in favor of the flashing lights and then spearhead the street light thing right
I'm-
behind it. I'll help. I'm not against streetlights. I've been working
All
on
we gotta
that
do is
with
get the
Jules
quotes on what those
for
other lights cost.
8, 9 years. We
We wanna
had
keep them
the
consistent.
places marked out and everything.
And my intention is that we should just look at, maybe we could augment our ARPA funds, make them go further if we're using a grant at the same time and get it all
You
done.
can't get the grant until you use up your opera funds.
Exactly.
So
I get that from
I
Judy.
just
There's
want to
more
get, just want to
ARPA
get a
funds.
financial.
There's
Call
more
the
ARPA
question.
funds,
But
but we have to
use what
use
we
the
have.
ones we got now.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye,
All right.
as written.
With the
Let the record
caveat.
show.
Let the record show. Okay,
And I'll be glad to work with you on the streetlights too.
That would be
We'll
great.
dig in
That
and
would
start
be
that.
great.
Yeah.
Talk to
That would be
Jules.
good.
Do you know how to get in touch
Oh,
with Jules?
absolutely.
Because she's got all sorts of information with
Perfect.
regard to streetlight.
Well, and I think too, Judy, is that with we've talked about consistency before. Just ask Tim because he's got the numbers
I've
on the ones
already talked to him
on the
about,
ones that are down at
Yeah.
True Green Trail.
he and I
So,
already did that.
You're welcome. I'm going to
True
keep
Green
that one
Park.
going. I will keep that one going in perpetuity. So
okay.
I'd like to see it
Thank
all
you,
done.
Judy. I appreciate it.
One more thing, Chief, if we could have like a field trip also, and all of us walk out and look at the parking and how it's all going to kind of work. I think that's the next thing we should do. So the money's good, but next thing I would say is let's go out and visualize and see
I
what
agree.
everybody else sees and kind of go with that. I think that would be a good thing. So
Now, the next step
Sorry about
on
that.
ordering these,
That's good.
do I get hold of Tim and give him the quotes to do a PO
Yeah.
or?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Let's
Yep.
move this.
I
Thank
think
you
he's
so much.
downstairs in his
You're very
office.
we
welcome.
thank you
Let's
for
Judy.
your legwork on this.
Yeah,
Judy,
absolutely. That's
I
great.
think he's downstairs in his office. If you want to
Yeah.
drop it,
That was very subtle.
you could just drop it to him. You want mine?
He's,
No, I've
he's
got
probably
copies.
listening.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Judy.
Thank you.
Julie.
Judy.
Appreciate all your work. Okay. All right, next is Dave Fontaine. Come on up.
Just put a giant mirror over the Honda dealer. Focus it on me. Light right up. There you go.
Just so you know that we've walked that and we were going to talk about Morrison Avenue before you decided to call in and come in.
Great. I went and saw Paul, who's very accommodating. And I guess the big issue is I lived on the street for 37 years.
I'm going to talk into the mic, Dave.
I lived on the street for 37 years and
Here, slide it to.
there's never been a reduction of the road. It's only been an increase in the road. My lawn used to be level with the road and now it's 8 inches lower.
Mhm.
My driveway is 6 to 8 inches lower. And I couldn't get out this year. I had to call the people to put the tar in to come and throw a bunch of hard pack down so we could get out of the driveway. Now the hard pack's all over the lawn and everything like that. So basically what I got is the road is much higher than it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be taken down. Before they did the road, I tried to get in touch with Director Duval several times. I went to his office 3 or 4 times. The guys told me that he doesn't have a phone. They can't give out his cell phone number. So I couldn't get in touch with them during the summer because I was very concerned about the job being done right because I'll probably be dead before they do Morrison Avenue again. It's been a long time. So I never got in touch with him. He never came down and did a look, see. So I went to the town administrator, previous town administrator, and I asked for her to get in touch with the director and have him come down to the road. He said she'd take care of it. I waited 2 weeks. He never showed up, never got a call, left my number. So I went back to the town administrator again, and she said she'd take care of it, that she forgot or whatever the reason was, she didn't get in touch with him. He never came back again, and the work got done, and it's wrong, okay? I know I'm not the only one on the street with problems, but the job was supposed to be to reduce the road way down. Now it's up higher. So the road is this much higher than it was 10 years ago. I don't know what the town's going to do, but what's there right now isn't working. So I'm concerned that when they repave the road again to put the top coat on it, it's only going to exacerbate the situation. It's going to be 10 or 12 inches high. So the pitch of the road is perfect. Okay, so a lot of the water that used to run both ways because it was pitched like this is now pitched like this, but this end is so much higher, and the south side took the brunt of it. I know some of the houses on the north side, they all come down and they have some humps and stuff to get in there. So the water runs good, but you can't get in and out of the driveway. And when the ice builds up there, and there's a pond, there's a pond in front of my house right now that I can't, it doesn't drain back into the road. So it's an inconvenience. It was done wrong. No one sponsored the project. I went down and I tried hard to get someone to come down and look at the job to make sure it got done right, because I had a funny feeling that it wasn't going to get done right. And they didn't do it right. They just tarred right over it. So you have a foot of tar higher than it's going to be by the time this is done. And I just want to know what the town's proposing they do before they retar it and wait and spend more money. Now, to do it right, you'd have to tear the whole road up and do it right the way that it was supposed to be done the first time. That's a lot of money. I don't have any idea how much tar costs per foot or per mile, but to tear up a road that's perfectly good and put new tar down has got to be outrageously expensive. Okay, so if they can fix some of the yards, some of the people may be happy if they tar some of the driveways and pick up some of the area on like I said, on the south side. So I don't know how to fix it because I'm not a road agent. I'm not a tar guy. I just know that it's very inconvenient and it's a hazard, and the road is narrow and it's old and it has all the problems of the tree streets. I bought the house knowing that. Oh, well, too bad. Okay. But since, like I said, since I've lived there, the road is at least 10 inches higher than it was when I first moved there. So I don't know. That's why I'm here. I don't know what the town's doing. I just wanted to make sure that before any more work gets done, somebody explains to me and maybe the other residents on the street of what they're doing and why. So that's my whole issue.
We have yet to have that discussion among the board.
Although that's on the agenda for tonight.
That is
right?
on the agenda tonight to discuss. We haven't had the opportunity. Everybody has been out there to take a look at it.
Yeah, Paul told me that I would be maybe called a little later date,
Right.
but then he said, come down today. And I said,
Right.
I'm here.
You're always welcome.
Yeah. So.
Well, but we will be talking about it. We will let you know what the end result is. We have to, at least if we do anything different other than the wear coat on it, we have to let them know that they're not putting the wear coat on it. However, because they'll be doing it soon. So we have to let that company know. But we will talk. That's one of the reasons why we need to talk about it tonight.
There's 8 buildings on the south side. I think there's 7 homes. One of them's a garage, or there's 9 buildings. So I know that from the past, as you go down the road and it takes the last corner there where the doggy place is now and the landscaping place, that guy on the end used to have tons of problems. And the sewer and the backup and the water. So it seems to be better. You know, when that rains, it gushes down that road. It's a good incline. And so I don't know what the fix is. I hope you guys can figure it out. And I don't know who's going to do that. Oh, there's a side note. Since the Honda dealer went in and they put the driveway up at the lights, our road is 1,000% better. The only people who speed on the road are the mailman and the FedEx trucks. Other than that, it's pretty good. Okay. So I thank the board for working at with a Honda dealer last year, because it would have been a nightmare. Plus you'd have got robbed.
Right.
Okay. So things are much better on the street. I don't want to come in here saying this sucks, that sucks. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just going to say, you know, I lived in town a long time, and I hope they fix it and they fix it right, because it is a water drain and there's springs that come out under the road and there's all kinds of issues because we're near the river and all that other stuff. So I don't know what the fix is, but I'll be anxiously waiting to hear, and I appreciate the board's time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. You want to talk about that, or do you want to go into the town administrator report and then just talk about that after? Town administrator's report. Okay.
You're the chairman.
You're the
All right.
boss. Pick 'em.
Town administrator report.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Two action items which have been on my report for the last two meetings is a review of the land use coordinator's job description, which Selectman Dawson mentioned earlier. And she had passed around some suggestions at the last meeting to the full board. And I just need instructions from the board.
Do we have a copy of that? Your corrections?
Yeah, I thought I sent everybody.
I did. I read it in the email
Yep.
version.
It's been inked. Berkeley's been here.
Okay.
Do you want me to go over them?
Do we have a copy in here at all?
You were given copies and also by email, but the hard copies were in there two meetings ago, Madam Chair.
Of your changes were in there? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I can,
Well, we have the copies. I have a copy of the land use coordinator, but are they incorporated with Catherine's changes?
No, they're not, because the town administrator did not get copies of Catherine's changes.
oh, I didn't send them to you? Oh, I'm terrible at that. Do you want me to copy this? I mean, you can read
Why don't
90.
you just run off 6 copies and
Yeah, you can read 90% of it. I just
All right.
don't know which one's
Well,
Get it
better.
done.
Okay, well, she's copying that. Why don't we just go on?
Thank you. So the second action item was also Selectman Dawson asked that the Tilton hiring procedure document of 2018 be discussed among the board. It was tabled from your 4/11/24 meeting and your 4/18/24 meeting.
Is that in here?
It
The
would,
original was
yes,
in there,
it
yeah.
should be, Madam Chair, yes.
Right after that. I believe I just pulled out the town administrator report section.
Yeah, right, this is what I'm in.
Here's Joe. Hear this?
I don't think I've seen that.
Should be in
No.
town.
Yeah.
In
All
this.
right, then I probably did. No, that one's not in here. Is that Catherine's? No.
This is right after that.
Land use coordinator.
Well, we'll put it off to the next week and then we can all have copies. We're just wasting time just looking for copies.
Here it is. No, the next one after that.
This is the town administrator.
Paul, just next week, we'll make sure that everybody has the hiring policy in our
Yes, I will.
books, and then
Yeah.
we'll just
Where'd Catherine go?
continue on to the
Right.
next one.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. These are FYIs. I met with Judy Tilton on the 29th to review the material that she discussed with you this evening. Yesterday, I attended the local officials workshop hosted by NHMA at their offices in Concord. Topics included updates on the right to know law, budget essentials, ethics, and conflicts of interest. thanks to Selectman Ruggles, who put me in touch with the facilities director at Tilton School, Fred Heath. He managed to give me a contact for somebody to look at the elevation and the back of the wall where the roof water's running off the Onions restaurant and coming down into our first floor conference room. A gentleman's name is Lester Baker of Pro Point Restoration out of New Durham, New Hampshire. He gave us a quote for the work, which is behind my report in your binders. And this gentleman has been working on the Tilton School, the Franklin Savings Bank in Franklin, and various other buildings. So he's got a good reputation. We don't need scaffolding to go up this narrow alleyway. It's called planking, and they would put plank up and move along. The only difficulty would be when they get to the top. We'd have to talk to Alan Powell next door and ask for them to go on top of the roof if we wanted the work carried out, because there's no way they could get up right through. It's so narrow at the top. He showed me that over the years, the water now has made it the mortar's completely dusty. And if we don't do something about it, the water will just rush in and completely come down on the first floor conference room. We do have money in the Building Infrastructure Capital Reserve of $40,000.
Is Tim still downstairs?
I don't think so. No.
Are we gonna do 3 bids on that? Right?
I'm here.
Okay. Tim, can you come upstairs for a second?
Be right up.
Ooh. First of all, we looked for people to do this, I don't know how many times for how many years. There really aren't 3 people in the world that do
There's
this.
only one masonry guy that points building in
It's
all
not
of New
a
Hampshire
question
for
about mason.
$95,000.
It's called scaffolding, John. You can't get in there with.
I'm
Gonna
totally,
be tough.
Jeannie had went out to 12 different people, and only one person came out because of the scaffolding issue.
I can't agree to it unless we put out
Put it out
and
again.
advertise it. Put it out. It's $95,000 of taxpayers' money.
We can do that.
Yeah, I'm all
Single
about it.
source in it.
I'm all about that.
In the meantime, can we ask our abutter to divert his roof water?
We have a couple times that he had installed gutters to keep it coming off and running on our building. Is it?
Maybe he's not
Not
aware
doing
that
anymore?
it's still causing damage to our building.
The estimated costs for helping out our mortar problem in between the 2 buildings is $95,000. That's before we go for any other bid. In the event that we accept a bid, and in the event that this is a low bid, where would we get the money? I mean, Paul had mentioned that there's 40,000 in the infrastructure.
That's correct.
Where else would we come up with this kind of money?
I'd have to really take a close look because there's several things that are pulling at the budget right now. Other grants that have matches, and things of that sort. So I've got to look through and really make an assessment, but I can work on that and have it for your next meeting.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Meanwhile, we'll ask Paul to get at least 2 other bids.
We advertise it on our webpage, things that we'll look for bids for repointing.
I know
water
Ronnie
tower.
Dunlop bid it, but he wouldn't.
We should make sure we
Right.
put them on, on our website that people can
Yeah, we
be
do.
known.
when they go out, we make sure they're
All
up.
the usual.
Well, we're going to
places.
need to write up an RFP then if we put it out.
We have a template.
We do.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
What specifically is a mortar analysis? Look at
See
the
how
motor.
the water. Well, actually, Catherine might have a better idea than me, but I think I know pretty much.
No, I mean, I'd only be guessing. Mortar isn't concrete.
Well, it's water
It's all
and
cement.
material that gets solid. And
Cement
I'm
and
sure
sand.
that if you have these things with concrete where they, what kind of mixture is there and, was it good stuff to start with?
I'm sure what it is looking at what is there and what is degraded and what has not.
Mhm. Makes sense.
That should
Okay,
be
go
obvious.
ahead, Scott.
So I can, and this is not an endorsement of the company, but I can tell you that the complex project that they took on at Tilton School involved a building that had been, was the oldest initial building on campus on this side of school, which is the center part of Knowles Hall, plus the additions, plus removals, extractions of other pieces of the building, plus the addition of the clock tower. So their mortar analysis went in so that they could find out what sort of the consistent ingredients were throughout the mortar on that entire building, so that they could then replace it with something that was going to be consistent and, very honestly, easier to do when they were coming back to repoint in the future.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Makes more sense. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Joint Loss Management Committee consisting of Chief Gilman, Becky Albert, Sue McDonald, Chuck Bodine, and Pete Fife inspected the highway garage on April 17th, which illustrated some safety issues that need addressing. We're going to be working on these in due course. The reports are in the board's binders behind my report. Lastly, the Civil War Monument. I did chase Mike Tardy of Superior Fence, and he gave Selectman Dawson quotes for the steel fencing, and I believe she'll probably talk about that in her Selectman's report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Morrison Avenue. Where do we go? What do we do? We all walked it. Go ahead, Joe.
We fixed it. I watched it and I remember the supervision of that whole street was problematic. Not due to lack of trying to get it straightened out, but that's something separate. I can't talk about that part. But I will say that I don't believe it was done correctly. I don't know about his 10 inches, 12 inches thing, but you can see, especially up near his house and Jimmy's old house, that those right there, and there's a space between two houses that looks like it's washing away, kind of. So I think we have a duty to figure it out, and I'm not sure how that's done, whether we repave their driveways and slope it the proper way, or down at the west end of the street, there's, and along the, what is it, the north side? Yeah, I guess it would be north side. There's berms,
Yeah.
asphalt berms that direct the water away and stuff. There seems like I hate to have to do it over again, but it seems like we kind of have to do what we need to do about that. And maybe we can divert some of that asphalt from putting a wear course on it.
I think number one, we should not put a wear coat on it and perhaps maybe just put off one of the roads that were going to be done this year and do it next year and just do a completely do-over.
I had a picture that you can see. You can see the road was below
Yep.
that house.
Yep.
And now it is 10 inches higher in that area.
This is Dave's house?
Yeah, no, that's right next door.
Jim's house.
But you
Oh,
could
yeah.
see it was below the pavement. See
yeah.
it sloped down?
Yeah.
Now, and they even had to pour cement to make a dam to keep it flowing in their front door. I try and hide from going out in my yard. Because I get all the, see, and right there now, this is a step up by 10
Yeah.
inches. You can see before it was pitched down, that's 19,
Yeah, I was there.
2000 and. This was from Valerie complaining about it, and it said that this picture was taken in 1998. So since 98, it's gone up over 10 inches in height.
Over 20 if it was 10 inches below. And now it's 10 inches
It
over.
was below, and
Right.
now
Now it's higher.
over. And then I know the other neighbor up the street, they now, they're not here, but I don't know if Paul got any other complaints, but they have to step up to get into it. And the other fellow whose basement, so it used to run down the street and curve and go into his basement, flood his basement out, and then they made a channel to get to the storm drain from there. So while they're waiting to do the road and regrade it, they put a temporary berm there. So now they raised the road and they raised the berm higher. And so then lowering the road, that's why they had the temporary berm. And I'm going to be perfectly frank, I would never use Porter paving again for a job in this
You
town.
have to remember Porter paving poured on top of a base. It's pretty basic.
They ground up the base
but
and they
they
pitched it.
did what they were told to do.
Right.
I never saw it.
Supervision of the road. We get right back to the supervision of that project.
Correct.
So I remember we had discussions
About
the
removing the base.
preparation
Correct.
of the road before the pavers came in.
Right.
I'm not a road expert, so I had to depend on the supervisor at the time. But you can't blame the paver because all they did is come in and do what they were told to do. They didn't raise that height of that road by 10 inches.
I can see the quality of that bituminous curbing is not,
But that's not what we're talking about.
that's part of their construction.
Right. And that maybe that is a problem. But right now, they didn't raise that grade by 10 inches.
I don't know.
If there was that problem had to have existed before any paving company came in there.
Right.
Okay. They did raise it some on one side quite a
Well,
bit.
I'm sure they did, but the
Right.
10 inches, that didn't come from this
Someplace
one project.
At least 6 inches and the 10 inches after they put their other thing on.
So this is a problem that existed before the pavers got there that wasn't addressed.
It was added on. They repitched the road
I
more
understand
to one
that.
side and they added more to the
But again,
north side.
they dealt with the base they were
We
given.
accepted it. We paid the bill. It's not the paver's fault. It's not the supervisor's fault. It's our fault. We authorized to pay the bill, kind of knowing that it wasn't.
What was the original RFP? What what they were going to do, the scope of the work?
Well, you have to remember, we talked about how the road was going to be prepared
Correct.
because we were very concerned with drainage. And it's that road preparation, I think, is where we failed.
What does the quote say? What they,
I don't have
there
it
must
We
anymore.
have
actually
some,
have to dig it out. I'm sure
Yeah.
we must have it.
I mean, what did we tell them that they were supposed to do?
I believe the town of Tilton was going to prep the road.
They were
Not
going to
the pavers.
regrade it and change the height. That's what I think, but I never saw that quote.
So here we are.
Hmm.
Shame on us.
I think that we need to forego one of the roads that are going to be done. I know Maple Court and Poplar Street are on the roads to be done this year. No, Maple Court could probably stand another year.
I think we need some advice
Hmm.
from road experts. Our public works director and foreman have a lot of road experience, but they're not road designer experts. I don't know if that's calling in a paving company and say, this is our problem. How do you suggest we fix this? Ramps? I don't know.
God, that sounded expensive.
Adding some asphalt to a driveway
Gonna
to
fix the
change that
problem.
dip is going to be less than replacing the entire road.
Right.
Yeah,
You get-
I'm all about getting out there and redirecting
Yeah.
if you got to do berms, whatever it takes to get this done. To dig up the road, I'm not in favor of that. It's going to cost a lot of money.
The other option we have is to,
They haven't even done the drains yet.
No.
there's a
the
civil
manholes.
engineer that the planning board uses.
Keach,
Say it again?
Keach and Nordstrom.
That's right, Keach and Nordstrom. We'd have to pay them to come out and look at it and say, how can we fix this?
I think
I can call them in the morning.
one of the big things is they need to talk to the neighbors what the problem is. No, they've
But
been
I
asking,
would,
we had somebody here who's been asking, somebody talk to them.
The least expensive way is to talk to a paver first and say, how can we fix this? What do you suggest?
Go ahead, Scott.
But go ahead.
Yes, I don't want to open up a can of worms, but I do remember our current DPW director when he was in, having concerns about the Grant Street as well, because it was done at the same time. So just, there's the can of worms.
Mm.
So if we're going to do that, I think we should ask Shane to take a look right now at both. If he sees concerns, then we have to go forward and take a much closer look in terms of how to remedy it.
But I think if he,
My third option.
yeah, if he does take a look at it, he needs to know all of the concerns of all of the residents up there.
The other thing is when we go forward with road projects, I think it behooves us to have an expert, whether that's the civil engineer or what, to look at the road and say, this is what you should do to avoid problems. And the roads would last longer.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is there is some extensive training on the, what do they call it, the T-square? The training that
On roads.
on roads, yeah. It's a multi-session.
Road scholars?
Yeah,
Scholars,
I think it's like 4 or 5 series on it.
There's four.
Four of them.
Yeah, there's four.
That's extensive on roads and
But isn't that road maintenance, not so much road design and
it's
engineering?
road design, all that.
Whatever.
We should
I would first
offer that.
call, I would have Shane and Pete go out and look at them. And then I'd call a paver company and have them go out and look at it.
A
And-
paver, which paver? We had a paver do it, and now we've got what we've got. So what paver
professional paver.
specifically? We paid
I
money
would
for
call-
that, lots of it.
I
So
would call a couple. I would call the one we used for that project, and I would call a couple. I'd call more than one.
So what are we aware of what issues there are? What are we going to tell them?
Well, one needs to go out there and you can see the issues.
We need to make
talk
sure
to the
they,
homeowners.
yeah, they need to talk to the homeowners, find out what their
Well,
issue
I
is.
suggest we send Shane and Pete out first. They're going to gather the information, and then they can make arrangements to go with the paving company to look.
I really think you need to talk to the neighbors.
Well, that's
I
right.
can
Saying
show you.
Shane-
that's got to
Shane
be
and Pete
part
can
of
do that.
Yeah. And find out.
There are
specifics.
emissaries, if you
it.
will.
Absolutely.
But we do still have the paving company contracted for the finish coat.
Mhm.
We should make sure that they know that we have a problem and that they need to hold off till we figure out the problem.
If they generated the problem, we didn't have a designer go in there. So they created the problem. Wouldn't they kind of be responsible for correcting the problem, maybe? Call them and say, look, we have these issues with the way the water is now flowing that we didn't have before. Will you please go out and look at this and see about coming up with some kind of fix so it doesn't run into people's basements?
So the problem is that they keep putting more and more and more pavement down, and they fluff it up and they put another coat of pavement, and now they're gonna put another wear coat on top. And now, as you
But
can
that's
see in
not
that,
necessarily the paver's fault.
well, it was very clear when we discussed it that there was a problem that the road kept building up and up and up, and they were supposed to go in the discussions, and you can watch
Supposed
the
to be
videos.
reclaimed.
They're supposed to reclaim it and remove material and regrade it.
That was
You
my
can't really
understanding.
Bring it down.
reclaim it and dig the road down, right? Because when you reclaim it and it comes back out,
Yeah,
right?
but you have, so they dug, the gas company dug it, that much of reclaimed material on that road in the hole that I saw that they dug. So
But nevertheless, here we are.
we got to remove
Here
material.
we are.
I would start with Shane and Pete.
Yep, and move from there and do something about it.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead, Chuck.
You know, whenever I've seen road projects done, almost no matter where, they always have usually taken care of the tongues of every driveway. You don't just simply leave it. That should have been part of the project. And the fact is that even no matter how high it is, it should have been the responsibility of someone who was supervising this or the paver to make sure you take care of the tongue that goes into every single driveway. That should be just part of the regular job. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. But isn't that done when they do the wear coat? The
No,
finished product?
no. The person in charge of this road project should have seen what we're discussing tonight.
Measure
That
the
should have been
depth
at,
before.
that should have been taken care of. So when the paver comes in to spread their pavement,
Got it.
they didn't have a 6, 8, 10-inch drop off
I see.
to the driveway below. That should have been taken care of.
Or their
But Chuck's
First,
absolutely
somebody's
right.
front
It
door
wasn't,
that's-
and it should have been.
Mm.
Even the state.
Thus we have. So
Aprons.
who's going to talk with who? This is the next subject. You want to talk to Shane and Pete and have them get out
Yeah,
there.
Paul, get in touch with Shane and Pete, get them up there, have them take a look, have them generate their ideas real quick and send them out so that we can have this in mind.
Do you have all the issues written down, Paul?
Yes. Yes, I do, Madam Chair.
We can tell them, do not put the wear coat down yet.
That's
Do
most
not put the
important. Do
wear
not
coat
put
in.
the wear code
No,
down.
no more work to be done
Need to
on it.
call the paving company
Porter
and
paving, yeah.
hold off on the wear coat. Wear coat. Okay.
And I would let Porter Paving know, we do have a problem with the driveway aprons.
Mhm.
It's not, it's the front doors of people's houses. You have to be very clear on that. There's a bunch of people, their front doors are now lower than the road, and the road drains off into their house. And it's one of those streets that the houses are close to the road.
Oh, I know,
Not
one of
mine,
them
but
in
Couple
particular
feet,
is,
you
I
could
wouldn't
pull
want
your
to
mirror
fall off
in.
the porch. I'd fall into the road.
Pull your side view mirror in when you drive by.
Yeah, and they can't get out of their own driveways. When they
Or,
have to,
or front doors.
right.
Tough.
Yep. I agree. I've seen it.
So we've got to start towards rectifying that.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've addressed at least a start somewhere, and next meeting we'll follow up with you to see where that's gone. Well, don't wait till next meeting. Communicate with us before then and let us know how that's going.
Could we get a report from Shane and Pete or Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they should generate that report quickly.
Okay, next, everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. The Selectmen's report.
Can we back to town hall roof? We didn't really,
Oh, yeah, sorry, let's get that done.
can we get more estimates or attempt to?
Well, we already said we were gonna do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are we going to talk to our abutter about diverting that water from his roof?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because.
Yeah, that's on our list. That was one of the things we're on the list. But thank you for checking back in on that. Okay, Selectmen's reports. Catherine, you're up.
Oh, okay. So I handed you out the estimate. I called Superior Fence because we have we're a real issue over there with that back fence, and gave them a little more information, and they suggested the chain link fence. You'll see there's two prices on here.
I only have one price.
Well, if you look.
Oh, I see, okay.
There's two paragraphs.
Yep, I see
The
it.
little bottom one is the chain link. And it was suggested black chain link. You really wouldn't see much of it because of the shrubbery in the back. It's a little more durable. So if it gets hit by a plow or whatnot, it's going to stand up a little better than the other.
That can be replaced a lot cheaper if it gets hit.
But how's it gonna look?
You're really not going to see much of it
Black
because of the
chain link
shrubbery.
fence.
So we should probably be incorporating additional landscaping or shrubs along there to hide it. Some
Well, I think
hedge or
they're already there. I don't
Not on the
remember.
corner though,
yeah.
not on the corner where they're making that path.
Well, there won't be any more because that fence will be there. But we can certainly, after it's in,
Put some
if we need
arborvitae's in
shrubbery
there.
and stuff, we have a connection to the New Hampshire State Forestry. They have great shrubs.
Got it.
Arborvitae's.
Oh, God, no. Something indigenous. Sycamores. But there's the two prices.
Considerable difference.
Mm-hmm.
And is the parks okay with the chain link?
I sent them out an email with this,
Mm-hmm.
but it was after the meeting. And I think about maybe a little more than 50% have said chain link, but there's been no real discussion.
We're saving the old parts, right?
Yes, we need to save the old.
Everything from that old
Yeah, because we can repair the existing.
straightened out and bent back as
Yeah, regardless of what we put in there, we'll save the
spare
old.
parts.
Absolutely.
I would go with the chain link if they're fine with that.
And the park commissioners will meet in next week, right?
Yeah.
that the second Monday? Nope. They'll meet the 13th.
It's good to see Catherine.
But the park commissioners don't have this in their budget, so it'll be coming out of the selectmen's, well, it is all the selectmen's budget, but there's no money in that portion of it for this.
Right.
This, the rest of this. I haven't had time to get to the rest of it, but.
That it for
Yeah.
you?
I don't know what you want to do with it.
Well, do you want us to vote on it now, or I thought you wanted to wait till the Parks Commission saw it.
Nope, that's fine. I can, if you
Okay.
want their input as to which style of fence. I mean, quite frankly, for me, it's dollars, so I'd go
Right.
with the chain link.
But I'd make a motion to go with the chain link,
It's almost a third.
and I'd make a motion to go with the chain link, and then have Tim determine where we could take the monies from.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Discussion.
Would we have to do something to also allow for landscaping? Shrubs?
I didn't
Well-
hear you.
Landscaping or shrubs to
We could
areas
do
where the
that.
fence is
We could do
exposed?
that closer to, August and see what grows back. See what is existing and then,
And then
Our
they
budget's
have,
looking.
fill it in.
and then they have somebody in the Parks Commission that can help out with that.
Take a look.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No, good, thank you.
All right. John, you're up.
I'm- You're probably going to talk about it, but I'm pretty happy about it. We all went down with our, actually,
Oh, go
Pat
ahead.
went down, I went down, and the Historical Society got together and cleaned up the cemetery there, did a great job, spent what we thought would be from 10 till noon, a little bit extra time there, and cleaned it out. It was good to see everybody working together to do that. And it's impossible with the budget that they have for that cemetery for one guy to
Mhm.
clean that whole cemetery and maintain it. It's impossible, but with the help of some volunteers, maybe we could make it an annual thing, and get more people involved, and also with other things in the town to bring up some, a little bit of community pride, and also talk to some of the businesses that perhaps one day a year they can volunteer 2 employees to pick up trash along the side of their road, around their property or adjacent properties, and recognize those businesses for doing it. I know the Walmart parking lot has been notorious for stuff blowing across that parking lot. And if you take a walk into those woods, it's paved with garbage. It's horrible. And, we had 20 people
Mhm.
joined together and cleared and cleaned a whole cemetery. I think the businesses have to start chipping in to do their part around their properties. I had the opportunity to see behind the Planet Honda and that whole section along the road tracks. Looks like they've been out there cleaning up. And I want to thank the diligent efforts by our health inspector to get that finally accomplished and hunt down the person that would be the contact person.
Well,
And
once I was able to make contact with the parent company, because my problem was, as I went in there to speak with them, It isn't always the same person that's in charge that day. And I didn't know was the big boss to say at New Car, but once I made that contact, their response was immediate
Hmm.
to take care of that. And they've assured me that it shouldn't happen again.
Right.
So that was great on their part to have that response, but thank you again.
But we want to correct that. It was New Car, not Planet Honda.
New car, yeah.
Right.
Well, and I'll say behind Planet Honda looks nice too. So
Okay.
even if they haven't,
We don't
but
want
it's been
them.
good.
Right.
Yeah, they've been doing good. But I think that's something that we really need to get the businesses involved in cleaning up. You know, you see sponsored highways. Well, how about sponsoring your own yard? You know, and let's get this trash picked up. I do across the street from where I live on that whole section every once a week. I think, and that's about it. I have.
Thank you, John. Scott?
One thing, so there was an article in the Laconia Daily Sun originally on April 3rd, 2024. It was updated on April 8th. It was titled Lakes Region Projects Earn Federal Funding Through Shaheen. We need to ask the Sun to make a correction. It was stated in the article that that we did not bond out, or we did not approve the bond for the bridge for $1 million, which is incorrect.
Right.
We did approve it. The voting body did approve it in the spring of 2022. So we need to have the Sun correct that, I think, because the public the public does not need information that is incorrect.
Right.
So that's my one thing for this evening.
Good catch.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Scott.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Lord knows there's enough incorrect information out there. Joe?
I have nothing.
Nothing. Pat? I have nothing.
I stole your.
Mark that down on
You
the
were going to
calendar.
say something about the cemetery.
I was not going to say anything. I forgot about it, actually. There. You have it. Approval of the April 11th meeting, minute meeting. Well, you know what? I will back up I do have one thing to say. In my new position, there was a woman that called in and bought a new purchase in town and was cleaning out the backyard and discovered a graveyard. And it was the old tin corner graveyard that Miss Souls has been looking for years and years and years while in Tilton. So it is, we went out to look at that on Monday. It takes up the entire backyard, her entire backyard. So what she thought she was just cleaning her backyard, she now has a graveyard in her backyard. So it's a good find for Tilton, not so good find for this woman. But it is a very good find, 1853. So that's the earliest stone that's there is 1853. Very good find.
If I can ask a question, who's responsible for maintaining that?
Well, that's a subject that we need to bring up here with the, she's perfectly fine maintaining it and keeping it up once it's cleared, because it was an ungodly pile taller than we are of weeds and vine and everything to get down to that level to see that there was even a graveyard there.
And that's
So,
private property.
and
is
it's
that right?
private property, a private cemetery, and so she said that she'd keep it up. But if it ever that we wanted to take it over, that's a possibility as well.
And I ask that because, when you have somebody that's positive about maintaining it,
Mhm.
and doing it, that perhaps they could get a little bit of assistance from us if they need, help with anything with it. But also now might be the time to have some type of agreement going forward that if they don't want to do it, that we would maintain it before you get somebody else who's not going to want that and it turns
Well, I think
into.
it's either them or us. I don't think there's
Right.
a maybe agreement.
Right.
It's like, for example, my family owns probably one of the oldest cemeteries, Bamford. My father got a deeded right to it. It was on property that he purchased. None of us are related to the Bamfords, but he got a deeded right to it, so now it's ours. Everybody takes part in maintaining it. A lot of these old cemeteries, that's what you do. And this woman was gracious enough to recognize that it was history and clean it up.
Right.
When the time comes that doesn't take place,
Mhm.
that's the time to discuss having the town maintain it.
I think at best, it should be recorded. It should, town clerk, tax collector is going to record it, where the location is, pictures, so on and so forth. And I think that she'll take care of that.
Probably in the Runnels history, is it not?
It is,
Um,
but
the
she
one
could
that
never
we need
find it.
to think about is the one down on the causeway. Excuse me, the other Philbrook Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely overgrown.
Yes, it is.
You can't even tell it's there.
Yep, I cry every time I go by it.
Nobody's maintaining it.
Perhaps maybe we could approach them and see if they would allow us to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, maybe we could ask the town administrator at some point
Mm-hmm.
to approach the resident and see if we could maintain it, clean it up and put a little fence around it.
There's a process that you go through. I thought I had a copy of it. I think it's at my desk. There's a process to go through.
Oh, okay. Maybe you might want to share that before
But
we
the first thing to do would be to contact the property owner to see if he would be agreeable,
agreeable at some point to clean it up.
or to let the town take over the maintenance of it.
Yep. Okay. Minutes. April 11th. So there's a couple of corrections that do you have yours?
I watched the meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
right.
was
You weren't
not
here. That's
present.
right. So there's a couple of corrections in red.
I'll make a motion to accept the corrected minutes of April 11th, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Are you okay? Do you have it, Catherine?
I'm fine.
You're okay with it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
I abstained.
John abstains. Okay. Done. April 18th. Has everybody read these? No. Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Ruggles second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Okay, is there any business to come before us, and, with the public online? Hearing none. Anybody here with anything to add or nothing with the
I do.
board? Okay, John.
I, Jonathan Scan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me on Energy Committee member to the best of my abilities and to agree to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God. So somebody can sign this.
Joe, do you swear too?
Start
I
swearing, Joe.
do.
Okay,
Joe
I
definitely
can read
swears.
it if you like.
go ahead.
Joe swears. Yes.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Energy Committee to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God.
Thank you, Joe.
And I, John Scanlon, it says here, it's Jonathan Scanlon, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a Conservation Commission member to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God, for the 26th year, I think.
All right. There you go.
Something like that. I still haven't caught up with Chuck though, and he's got, must have 40 yet.
At least 40.
Yeah. Now, get some housekeeping. That's all I saw in here. Anybody else?
Amy will love us for catching up on these.
Ben left. Ben needs to be sworn in. I'm gonna run out of ink tonight.
Okay. If there's no more business to come before us, anybody? All right, I will, the time being 7:06, I make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91A:3, 2 matters which discussed in public would likely it's the hiring or disciplining of any employee. It's that RSA.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Scanlon, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Constantino, yes. Good night, everyone.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. In October, if the boards across the state haven't taken certain actions as relates to their non-public sessions and reviewing them, there's a whole standard that's out there that the state law will automatically unseal the prior 10 years non-public minutes.
I hate non-public stuff anyway.
We might want to officially come out of this one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
on.
you are in. You are on.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we'll
You're
take
live,
care of
Pat.
that another day.
Oh,
We
Okay.
don't want to disparage anybody.
all right. We are back. I'd like to seal the minutes of the May 2nd, 2024, because disclosure would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I wonder why we sealed it. Okay,
There's a few things in there.
Conversations with Tim leading up to his
right.
acceptance.
Yeah.
All right. At this time, we would like to make an announcement that regretfully, we accepted the resignation of our town administrator effective May 17th. And more news to come after that. Would like to make a motion at this time to accept a donation of $300 from Megan Hanna and Chet Berger for the senior center. This was a wedding that was held downstairs from Kim, and when it's held downstairs, she donates it to the senior center.
Isn't that nice?
Second?
Yes.
Yes, second.
Second by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Yep.
Congratulations.
And
That's right.
congratulations. Yes.
May they
Go ahead.
live happily ever after.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm sealing these.
Second.
I'm sealing these.
Okay. All those in favor?
Oh, me.
Aye.
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 I'm in favor.